All advice given is for general information purposes. All legal cases are different, and you should seek the advice of your own attorney before acting or making decisions. No attorney-client privilege applies to communications on this show, and no attorney-client relationship is created by calling or writing in. Attorney Rominger practices only in Pennsylvania and maintains his primary office in Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
Good afternoon, Carl Rominger here, weekend appointment, joined by Mark Virginis. Mark, you here? Mark, can you hear me? Hold on, Mark. Maybe we don't have you yet. Should he be up, Shane? Can you hear me, Mark?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you. Probably that music was too high. Yeah, we got you. Listen, you're my financial guru, and since it's a separate hour, you probably should give your disclaimer again.
Yeah, not a problem. I am a registered representative offering securities and investment advisory services through my broker-dealer, which is Financial Network Investment Corporation, member SIPC. MIRUS, spelled M-I-R-U-S, MIRUS Financial Partners and Financial Network are not affiliated, and I will tell the listeners that they need to get a hold of me off there because something's more of a personal nature or they want a little bit more information. They can reach me at 509-4521 or go on to mirusfinancialpartners.com. And you can email me through the site if you don't want to email me directly, which is mark@mirusfinancialpartners.com.
All right, thank you very much. We've got two callers holding here, so I'm going to grab them first, and then I want to talk to you about the current state of the markets and some other financial information, and maybe one of these guys has a financial question. It seems like we were getting hammered with legal questions right there at the end of the last hour.
It sounds like everybody's kids are in trouble.
Yeah, that's what I know. Must have been 4th of July weekend probably led to a lot of that, if I had to guess.
I do have a question about the kid, the underage drinking one, but I'll let you take the callers first.
All right. Corey, you're on with Carl and Mark.
Yeah, hi, guys. How are you?
Good.
Good. Hey, I had a financial question and a legal question. Which one should go first?
Go shoot with the financial question.
Okay, Mark, I have about $40,000 in municipal bonds that are going to be coming due. I think they're due to mature in about another 10 years. Now, I heard some advice that those bonds are questionable as far as me seeing payment on them due to the ability of the municipalities to pay on those bonds. Is that a concern I should have and look at other options for this money?
So I'm assuming you're buying these these are individual bonds, not an actual bond fund. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, municipal bonds, you have a certificate or something of that nature that would say you own $4,000 of this.
Yeah, it's with a securities company.
Okay. Municipal bond, the state of affairs, and you've heard of, what's going on with the state budget and Harrisburg and different places. It's going to really pertain to the municipality for which issued those bonds. And typically municipal bonds are also issued with what's called insurance. So the municipality will go to like an AMBAC, is the name of a company, MBNA, another one. Warren Buffett actually owns another one, where they actually provide insurance. So if the municipality cannot pay, the insurance company steps into their shoes and makes the payment on their behalf.
Okay, so the solvency of the insurance companies is much better than some of these municipalities. Because I guess the point of view that made sense to me was, the economic outlook of a lot of the budgetary problems in municipalities all over the country is coming to a head, and in the next 10 years could really be problematic. So I didn't know if this money was better suited in a safer environment.
Right now, finding a safer environment is going to be everyone's going to be different on that because what you have with municipal bonds, it gets back to what you want to use the money for. If this money,
well, we were thinking college for the kids eventually, so we were counting on this money being there, and when it's ready and mature, I didn't want to have an issue where my value is significantly diminished because of the ability of them to pay.
Well, I mean, as Carl will tell you, a bond is simple. It's a contract where someone says you're going to loan me your money for a certain amount of time, and I agree to pay you back. But along the way, I'm going to give you some interest. That's basically what a bond is, regardless of where the bond comes from. A municipal bond, because they have the power to tax, because they come with usually an insurance component that you don't see, but the municipality has, they're seen as being fairly safe in any type of market condition.
You really have to have two things happen. You'd have to have the municipality default, and you'd have to have the insurance company default, and of course the insurance company is going to have reinsurance as well.
Okay.
So unless I mean, listen, at the end of days are the end of days, and you just got to deal with it, right? But other than that, it's probably not gonna be an unsafe investment. But caveat, you never know. But here's the flip side. What do? Put your money in the bank? Well, guess what? They can fail. Put your money in the insurance company. They can fail. Put your money in platinum. You might not ever be able to sell it. I mean, so it's all about risk allocation.
Sure.
Municipal bonds theoretically are pretty safe because they have the power to tax and they have the insurance and reinsurance.
Right, and that's why the money was there to begin with. But
yeah,
I guess solvency issues with a lot of these municipalities like Harrisburg.
If I was Glenn Beck, I'd tell you to put it in gold, right? But if you actually study the history of gold, it's not a great income generator. It's more of a hedge. Right. So what you should be thinking about is a mixed and diversified portfolio of some sort. We do have that. This is a component, and I thought it was always a fairly safe place to have money. But this person who I thought has a lot more experience than me, just brought up these issues that they're really only as good as the ability to pay on them. So I just I'm trying to educate myself. No, and that's okay. And we're not trying to beat you up. We're just trying to point out that whichever way you go, there is no true safe harbor. I think one of the nice thing about being poor is you have nothing to lose.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hey, do you have a minute for a legal question on a completely different issue?
Yeah, Mark, is there anything else you want to say on this first?
Yeah,
sure.
If you want to give me a call during the week sometime at 509-4521, I'll talk to you more about it. But if this truly is money earmarked for college, like you don't really fathom touching this for a roof and the roof's leaking or the car engine needs repaired or whatever, if this is truly earmarked for college, you might want to look at something called a 529, which will completely diversify the portfolio, or go all bond if you want. Is tax exempt while the money's in there. There's no taxes being paid on it, kind of like with your municipal bond. And as long as the money comes out of that plan and goes to a college, there's no tax. So you might be able to get, I mean, there's no guarantees with that either, but that could give you more choices in one bucket, if you will. But we can talk later about that if you want to give me a call. But go ahead with your legal question.
I appreciate it.
All right, what do you got?
Okay. A property that sees proceeds from resources taken off of the property. Are those proceeds the rightful to the mortgage holder or to the property owner?
Well, the short answer is they go to the property holder, because the mortgage holder the property is just securing a note in a mortgage, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
However, most mortgages will include clauses that address those issues. It may say, for instance, that if there's a house on the property, you're not going to strip the copper out of it, et cetera, et cetera. More interesting question might be timber, because most mortgages probably aren't going to speak to timber.
That's kind of what we're talking about. Resources you would take off of the property. Now, what if the mortgage holder is a private entity and not a bank?
Well, what I would want to do is actually look at the mortgage and see what it says. If there's nothing in the mortgage that speaks to those issues that further encumber the relationship, then I think that the property owner is free to utilize the property for strip mining, etc.
Right. Okay.
Makes sense?
Well, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much, both of you. I appreciate it.
All right, dude. Thanks.
Thanks for calling.
Yep. Thank you.
All right.
Hey, Carl.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah, what I wanted to say, too, was during your radio show earlier, a gentleman had a question regarding should he convert his IRA to a Roth, or this one of these single 401ks and so forth.
Yeah, he was killing us because it was taking him a while to spit it out.
Well, and I think he believed, he made his mind was made up already, this is the best thing to do, but it really comes down to when do you need the money, what's the money for, how much do you need to save ongoing? Because you can put a heck of a lot more in the single or solo 401k than you can in Roth. So it really it's hard to say it's for everybody, but he has to really look at what is his use for the money, and again, if he's going to be sticking in there for 30, 40 years, the Roth is probably a slam dunk.
Right.
But however, he's like 5, 10 years away. He's right. Paying the tax now, it's a big nut. That's real money to come up with right now to pay Uncle Sam. So everybody's situation is different, and I just really want to get that out.
Okay. And I think I follow what you're saying. I guess we're going to go into our break right now, and when we get back, you and I can continue talking about all things financial. I got Bobby holding on the line, and it looks like I have another caller being screened, so we'll see you after the break.
Okay.
Welcome back. Weekend Appointment. Carl Rominger here. We're talking about all things financial and legal. Got Mark, I'm going to butcher your last name again. Got Mark Vergenis with us. See, I'm getting it. And we've been talking about all things financial and legal. We had an interesting discussion about municipal bonds in the last segment. And let's see what we've got here. Bobby, you're on with Carl and Mark on Weekend Appointment.
Hi, guys. Good afternoon. This is a legal question. The issue is I own a rental property, and it's well-maintained, and 2 doors down, there's a property that it's very obvious has been abandoned. The weeds and grass I'm 6'3", and they're probably a good 4 or 5 feet tall. And on the other side of that property, 2 doors down from that is a school, and we have a rat problem. So far, my tenants have caught, as of yesterday, a total of 23 rats. We have taken pictures of the property. I wrote a letter to the township. The township wrote the supposedly owner of that property a letter, pretty blistering letter, and with threats and so forth. And certified mail so far, that's been 2 weeks ago, has not been acknowledged that the letter was received. Property went up for sheriff's sale yesterday, has been continued until September. So I stopped at the township yesterday and said, okay, guys, what's next? Because this is a safety issue, and the township says there's nothing we can do. You have to go to the district justice, which I'm going to the district justice Monday. But my question is, what can I do legally?
The short answer is you could sue the property owner in for an injunction, and I would suspect you could get a common pleas judge to allow you, in a worst case scenario, to make entry and do what you need to do to remove the rodent infestation from that property to protect yourself. What I would do is I would walk an injunction through and basically say, Judge, this guy's nowhere to be found. I want an emergency hearing, and I want you to either require him to immediately deal with these things, but because he's in foreclosure, I doubt he's gonna. And the bank's now party in interest, so I want somebody to go in there and exterminate the place. And I think that would
the place to start with.
I would go right. That's where I would go right to it.
Very good.
All right.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure there were no. I don't care about the money. I just want the rodent problem resolved, and I'm also concerned about the school 2 doors down, as I've gone to the safety department and told them, hey, I know school's out now, but these things multiply, these rodents multiply quickly, and if a kid gets bit or something like that, then we're really going to. So let's meet this head on at the beginning. So in your opinion, I'm doing the right thing. Next step is district justice.
Yep.
Very good. Thank
right.
you very much.
Good luck.
Yeah, and I actually, I might even skip to district justice and go right to the, go right to the court of common pleas and push an emergency injunction through. The problem is he's going to look at costs that are going to run, into the thousands if he goes that route. So
especially because with the extermination, if he goes in there and does the extermination, who knows how bad the problem really is.
Right, and. I would never recommend sneaking in the middle of the night and taking care of it yourself either, because that would not be appropriate. But I don't know if it was my neighbor house and there was nobody living in it and I thought there was a rodent infestation, I might make entry just to see what's going on. Although, again, that'd probably be illegal, so probably shouldn't do that, right?
Yeah, and this podcast is going to last forever. That was Carl Rominger, Esquire.
Right. And I say you can't do that. It would be wholly illegal. And that's why you'd have to go to the court to get permission to do that. But I suspect that a judge would allow for entry to get a scope of the problem done. And that's the amazing thing, folks. If you go to the courts first, you can actually do a lot of the things that you couldn't do beforehand. Fred, you're on with Carl and Mark.
Yes, I enjoy your show there, Carl, very
Thank
much.
you.
And I heard you say about this Comcast, and I do have a little financial question I'd like to ask Mark there.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a couple income properties. I was thinking about selling them. Would now be a good time to sell income properties? With property taxes down 30 to 40%, and you've got to pay back your depreciation costs and what have you, it would now be a good time.
Well, you have to figure, too, that right now everyone's looking for capital gains to go up in the near term, even though Obama has said it probably won't. But, with this country being in debt the way it is, I think it's a foregone conclusion that taxes are going to go up to some degree. So if you're looking to, your end
don't
game
hear
was
anything,
always
Carl.
to liquidate the properties anyway.
Fred, you can't hear Mark?
No.
You want to relay for him? Because,
I'll tell you what, Fred. Let Mark answer you. I don't know. We don't know why he can't hear you. You should be able to hear him, but sometimes the phone system in here doesn't always connect up as well as we would like it.
Right.
So I'll let Mark answer, and then what we'll do is I'll recommend. Can you listen to the podcast afterwards?
Yes, I don't know what a podcast is, but we could probably get it.
If you go to WHP 580 or to the website, you'll be able to go to the podcast drop-downs and listen to it on your computer.
You go to WHP580.
.com, yep. But let's see. Let's try it again. Mark will answer you. I can hear you just fine, so I know that any of the listeners will be able to. So let Mark answer, and then I'll give you a synopsis, and hopefully you'll be able to listen to it online.
All right.
Yeah, well, my theory here was, first and foremost, if he needs more income or wants to diversify his income and doesn't want the issues or the problems associated with being a landlord, then any time is a good time to let go of income-producing properties. Depends on what he wants it for, or if he feels he can get a better income elsewhere.
Don't hear anything, Carl.
From an investment property standpoint.
Fred, what Mark's basically saying is, and you'll be able to hear this, is that it's always a good time to let go of them if there's other things you want to do with the income or with the money, and you want to get out of the hassles of being a landlord. And there's lots of different financial vehicles. What I would tell you to do, what I would tell you to do is probably get hold of a guy like Mark or Mark himself off the air and go over an actual plan, because you would want to look at it and see for your individual situation. Some people have certain types of tax advantages available to them, and other people don't because of their personal situations.
Right.
So, Mark, what's your phone number?
It's 717-509
509
4521.
4521. Yeah.
I'll give him a call.
Okay, Fred, you got that number. I would definitely give Mark a call. I think he can help you here.
Yeah, and can I stay on the line and listen to the rest of your show?
Yeah, have you been able to hear it so far?
I hear you, but not Mark.
All right. Well, I'll put you on hold here. I'll have to take you off of another caller calls in, though. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Hold on.
But I really appreciate you having a financial advisor and yourself on there. I think it's a great program.
Thank you very much, Fred. I really enjoyed doing it, and the reason I bring Mark on is to add that aspect, because a lot of situations do require some legal advice and some financial advice, and of course someday we might have to bring on the CPA with us as well, because that's where we get into the crazy tax.
I think it's all great.
All right, my friend, hold on.
All right, thank you.
So Fred's gonna hold with us here, and let's see who's next. Mark, I've got Violet holding, but Violet, if I'm going to have you hold on for a minute longer, Violet, and I'm going to put you on in the next segment here. So, Mark, let me ask you something. because I was talking with one of the callers, wanted to know about putting property in tenants in the entirety. And, of course, I think you had mentioned to me tenants in common and all the other forms of ownership.
Right.
And I guess what I wanted to point out to people that are married is they need to make sure they are titling this stuff the right way, because it really can change the way the property is going to flow, particularly if somebody passes or if there's a nursing home issue or any of those types of issues. And I assume that's one of the things you go over with your clients is how they're titling their properties.
Yeah, especially when you get into mom or dad is elderly and son or daughter by power of attorney, or even before they went to come see you, Carl, they went ahead to the bank and son or daughter is now on as joint tenant on all the bank accounts and CDs and brokerage accounts and different things. They may have just screwed up. They may have opened up a gift tax situation. They didn't know. They thought they were doing a good thing and it made sense and it was easy, as opposed to coming to someone like myself or you first, which, typically, I don't charge for initial consultations, but at least you can get some good answers. But yeah, ownership and how one's assets are owned can be make things easier in life and then easier after life.
Yeah, I agree with that. Shane's giving me the heads up that we got to go into break here, Mark, so we're going to do that when we get back. We'll talk with Violet here. You're listening to Weekend Appointment. I'm attorney Carl Rominger. This is a show where I answer your legal questions. And make sure you go to weekendappointment.com when you get a chance to check out those free wills. That's right. We give away free wills there. All you have to do is fill out the kit, send it in, and you end up meeting with me, and you get a real live free will. We've done a gazillion of them, and lots of people have taken advantage of it. So if you haven't, now's your time to do that. I'm joined today by Mark Virginis, who is going. Did I say that right again this time? Did I do it?
You're close.
I'm getting closer. I'm
okay.
It's like early in the archery season. Yeah, the arrows are a little left, a little right, a little high, a little left. But they'll all be on target here soon.
Probably didn't have a cigar yet today. That's probably why.
You know what? I do need more coffee, and I smoked a American Anthem by CAO for the 4th of July. And I don't know if you
had one last night at the CAO event over at Old World Tobacco here. They had an event, and I bought 3 of the Americans. It's funny you say that.
Yeah, very nice. It was a very good cigar, and it did not. What I really liked about it was it stayed lit. I was golfing when I smoked it, and it sometimes I neglect because I'm busy trying to line up putts and things, working on that amazing golf game that I'll have someday, and it didn't go out at all. So I was very happy with it. I mean, it just was a great smoke, burnt perfectly. But I guess you get what you pay for.
That's it.
And you and I, we should probably do a show on cigars sometime. I think maybe we'll do that as a bonus podcast.
Oh, we should. Oh, definitely. We might have to go on location.
I was gonna say, you know what? We could probably work this out and go on location somewhere. Let's see here. I got Violet.
Yes.
You're on Weekend Appointment with Carl and Mark. What's going on?
Well, I really think you have a wonderful way of handling these people, but my problem is I have a K-1 to be done, and this financial services people did my income tax in 2008. And I gave them the information for the 2008 to do the K-1. They did my taxes, charged me $600. When I went this year to a different person, because they'd never tell me how much I paid the K-1 done. And here they didn't do it at all.
Right.
And the new lady I went to, I paid $400 to get my taxes done, and now she wants $750 because she has to do what they didn't do last year. And I called them, and they won't do anything about it. They said I never paid for getting the K1 done.
Huh.
So they have to follow.
And they're a prominent financial, accountants. And what can I do? The lady that did it this year told me it cost me $200 to get the K1 done. Now she wants $750 plus $400 for doing the other part. And I already paid the $400, and I only had $200 that which I thought was all I was going to have to pay. And she won't give me the taxes until I pay her the $750. And they have to be in by the 15th of July.
Right.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
It sounds like it sounds like you almost need to do what you need to do to get the taxes in, and then go backwards and sue later, if that makes sense. In other words, since you're pushed against a deadline here and you're kind of stuck, you may have to pay what they want you to pay, and then ask for it back.
Yeah, but
I know, because possession is 9/10 of the law, and that's the problem. Otherwise, you got, like I say, you'd have to have somebody else do the work for you, and then sue for your loss.
But can I make that Beard and I shouldn't say their name, the accountant aren't they responsible for what they did in the first place?
Yeah. I mean, potentially yes, but the problem is you still got to protect yourself. And what are we going to do? Go to court on Monday and get a judge to order them to have it done by the 15th? I mean, by the time we file
it's already done. I mean, the second lady did it, but she won't give it to me.
Won't give it to you, right? And that's the question, and we still have to fight over whether they have to give it to you or not. My advice would be pay under protest, and on my check I put paid under protest. In the memo,
on my check.
I put paid under protest on the memo line.
She won't take anything but cash.
Well, that's interesting. Violet, I don't know a great answer for you here except to have somebody else do it and not pay them for it. But to have someone else do it and get it in on time is going to be almost impossible.
I know. I just don't have that kind of money. I'm 81 and I live in a retirement home.
Right.
But anyway, okay.
All right, Violet. Sorry, I don't have a better answer.
Thank you.
Mark, what do you think about that?
Oh, it's even if she pulls the plug on the current firm and goes to somebody else, with them being under the gun on the date and everything, they probably will charge a lot because they're forced to hurry up and get it done. What disturbs me is when you go to a new accountant. When I take my account, if I have a new client comes in and they say, we're not happy with this accountant, we want somebody else, can you refer me to somebody? Just about every accountant that I know says, well, can you have them bring the previous 2 years' tax returns?
Right.
They don't want them. So, I mean, K-1s are there. I mean, a good accountant's going to see, they'll say, well, hey, Mrs. So-and-so, I see you had some K-1s from last year. Where are those?
Right.
They're noticeably late all the time. You know that. You always have to file an extension and so forth. So the fact that they didn't know that they were going to be there, it sounds like somebody was just rushing through the job, or miscommunication. Maybe they told her, but she doesn't remember, or that wasn't a separate item. Who knows? But like you said, suing somebody or paying under protest, usually it's going to wash out. I have a hard time believing a good, well-respected accounting firm won't bend a little bit here to help somebody out. It sounds like they need to bend a little bit here. And
you just, and the big question I always wonder about, because, of course, when people come in and present these problems to me, I never know what the lead-up to the situation was,
right.
Where the miscommunication might have actually been. And so usually what I try to do is make a phone call or two and check it out and say, okay, why aren't you giving this to this person? And amazingly, they give me some information. I take it back to the client and they go, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes they have a satisfactory explanation. Sometimes they don't. But a lot of times I can kind of come to a conclusion as to who really dropped the ball when. And of course, the nice mediation thing to do is say, okay, well, how about this? How about they give you $500 or they give you $300 and you give them the paperwork and then you guys fight over the other amount later on.
Right. That sounds pleasable, yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what else to tell that young lady of 81 years. Although, and of course, I'm curious. I mean, obviously, she must have some kind of partnership investment or something that's resulting in these cases.
Partnerships or part of a limited liability or what kind of company, and she's getting shares. She owns shares for it, so yeah, she's probably not doing too bad if she's getting a K-1.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. She said, well, I don't have one. I'm just a poor lady in a retirement home. And I'm thinking, well, you get K-1. I mean, I hope there's something on.
Thank you, Mrs. Rockefeller.
Yes, thank you. But then again, you never. I mean, who knows? And then the other thing is, they're preparing the K-1. Does that mean that they're doing the partnership return? And did the other people get theirs? Because there's got to be more than one person, I would think.
Yeah, it's one of those. You kind of want to call Violet back and say, "Hey, can we talk more about this?"
Right, because there's some things here I'm not quite adding up in my head, and so that's why I'm concerned that maybe she has some confusion. More, and of course, I don't know. I don't know the right answer, Mark, but. These are the things I guess you and I could speculate about forever.
Right. Now,
in our next segment, because we got one last segment of the bonus podcast here, and based on experience, we probably won't get a call, but we might. We might. They sometimes do. People kind of getting educated. And, of course, I put out on Facebook if anybody wanted to call in or not. You never know with Facebook what's going to happen. But what we'll talk about, I'd like to talk about BP. I'd like to talk about the current market situation, and I'd like to talk about some of those aspects. And my goodness, the phone is ringing even as we speak. I guess, Mark, just before we go into this break, in case somebody wants to get in contact with you, what's your website, phone number, etc.?
Yeah, website is mirusfinancialpartners.com, and Mirus is M as in Mark, I-R-U-S, financial partners, and partners is plural.com. And my phone number is 509-4521, 509-4521. Or they can email me at mark, M-A-R-K, at mirusfinancialpartners.com.
Okay, thank you very much. You're listening to Weekend Appointment. My name's Carl Rominger. I'm a mid-state attorney, and of course, if you want to get hold of me, you go to weekendappointment.com. You can find my phone number, my email. You can post your question there. You can go ahead and call the phone number on the website and get scheduled to see us. And we always enjoy to see folks in the office. And, of course, you can download your free will. Listen to Weekend Appointment. I'll see you after the break. Oh, he finally plays I Can't Drive 55. I've been waiting for this for about 100 years. Now, Shane, put this in your memory bank. I want this during the show next week. But I want some words, man. I want some words. Can't just have the music. I want the whole thing. Welcome back. This is Weekend Appointment. Carl Rominger, your host here. I'm a mid-state attorney. Practice a little bit of everything, best I can tell. Got Mark Virgenis with me.
Excellent. Very well pronounced.
Thank you. Well. I'm working on it. I'm going to get it down. And we've got a caller here, so we're going to take it. And then Mark and I are going to talk about some more financial things. Richard, you're on with Carl and Mark.
Hi, Carl. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
Good. My sister and I own some land in Massachusetts, and it was left over when the Mass Turnpike took property for the highway.
Okay.
And it's landlocked.
Yeah.
And we tried to give it to a land preservation, and they wouldn't take it. And then we tried to also give it back to the town. And we've decided that we would not want to pay any more taxes on it.
Right.
And what we want to know is, can they attach the property that is owned down here?
Well, the short answer, are you on like a speakerphone?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm just getting a little.
My sister's on the other line.
Okay, we're just getting a little reverb. That's cool. Long and short of it is, if you owe them money, they could ultimately bring the judgment down here to Pennsylvania. Although usually, once you get back far enough on your taxes, they just take the land.
Right.
In satisfaction. I would have to consult with, or you would have to consult with a Massachusetts attorney on that issue of how the law works up there. Because here in Pennsylvania, generally speaking, they'll just accept the land and that will satisfy the tax bill.
Right.
And then you don't have to worry about them coming down here. But in some crazy scenario, let's say the land's actually worth $10 and they're taxing you $1,000 a year on it, and you go behind 2 years, then that would leave they would say, well, we got the land and that's only worth $10 and you still owe us $1,980. Could they come after you down here? Yes. So I think you'd want to make sure that stopping paying the taxes, there's two other problems, which is it could somehow affect your credit.
Well, we're in our 70s and...
Not particularly worried about it?
No.
What is the tax bill on this albatross?
It's what, $300, Pat?
Yes.
$300, and they assessed the 10 acres at $30,000.
Right.
Okay, now in years past, I've gone up and talked to them, and they've reduced the assessment. But there's some law in Massachusetts now that it comes out of Boston, and they assess all vacant land kind of equally.
Right.
So they will not make any adjustments anymore.
Let me ask you this question. Is there any neighboring property at all that attaches to it?
Yes, there is.
Have any of those people interested in buying it?
No, they're not.
Have you tried offering to sell it to them for $300?
Right. Even less.
Boy.
They have problems, too, because they're all landlocked. The way a new highway went in, which was no access. So there are other people around us, and some of them have in the years, just not paid taxes. But my sister and I, we just kept paying the taxes.
Do you know what happened to those other pieces of land?
Some of it is back to the town.
God. Boy, here in Pennsylvania, we have something called the Private Road Act, which means you would allow you to actually push an access off the land and across somebody else's to the nearest roadway.
Right.
I assume there's no such equivalent up there. Somebody would have done something with it.
Right. Well, maybe when they first took the land, the attorneys or whatever didn't do their job right or something, because there were a number of people that didn't get access to there.
Yeah, there's no way that when they put that highway through, that you should have become landlocked without. There should have been some kind of fight over it.
Right. But this was back in the 50s.
Right.
And, my sister and I were kids then, so we didn't have any say.
Any say in it? And did you just inherit the property? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably should have just rejected it from the estate if you'd have known, right?
Yeah, if we had known then. Yeah.
If I'd known then what I know now.
Right.
Heard that before. Richard, I guess the big question would be to consult with somebody up there to find out what the consequences of failing to pay the taxes, and if it's simply that they take back the land and you don't have to worry about a surplus judgment.
Right. Okay.
And what do they assess the land at?
$30,000.
$30,000. So in my mind, the answer is the land was more than satisfied, more than a few years of back taxes. So
right.
You're probably safe, but again, you're going to have to require. I don't know Massachusetts law.
Okay, well, that's what we want to check to see if we have to go to Massachusetts.
Right.
Get an attorney up there.
I would check. I would talk with somebody up there just to be safe.
Okay.
You just don't want to end up creating a big problem for yourself.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
And so the other thing is, though, and here's why you might want to talk with a Massachusetts attorney. You might want to say, hey, I'm landlocked. Is there any remedy for this so I can get the actual value out of this land? Is there
okay.
Because while you're at it, you might as well have them explore the possibility of how to get it, to squeeze some dollars out of it.
Right.
All right?
Okay. Hey, Carl, is it worth
Thank you, Carl.
coming to you and have you make those phone calls for him, or is it better for him just to make those
The short answer is if he's comfortable contacting an attorney up there, I think that's fine. But you're right. And I should point that out. Quite often I'm engaged by clients for the sole purpose of finding out-of-state counsel and then engaging them.
Right.
So, Richard, I'd be happy to help you out if you need me to.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Good point, Mark. Almost forgot about that.
No, I was just thinking you might have an old classmate or whatever that you can just call up and get the
skinny on it. Yeah, and the other thing is we have pretty good ways amongst attorneys of figuring out who to contact who's competent in certain areas. So Mark, here's my question, and this may become not timely anymore, but as you know, right now they're changing the underwater cap on the BP well, and I think they're trying to get this thing capped before their financials come out in a week or two.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I go back to something T. Boone Pickens had said probably a month ago. He was on one of the shows, and they were talking about the oil well and whatnot. He said, listen, 50 years, we've had 2 accidents. This one and one off the Yucatan Peninsula off of Mexico. He said the Exxon Valdez was a drunk driver. He said that one, when the Yucatan was in 195 feet of water. This was in 5,000 foot of water. The one for 195 took 3 relief wells, and it took almost a year.
Right.
Here we are 6 months with 1.5, I guess you would say, because they're drilling another relief well. I'm hopeful that this gets capped, for the Gulf and for everybody that works down there and for the environment, what have you. But your question goes to the point: at what point is BP going to be looked at as being solvent? And sources have been reported all over the place that they're shopping for money. They're shopping for an infusion of cash and having somebody come in and, whether it be Saudi money or Abu Dhabi or sovereign wealth funds coming in and saying, let's work with the United States government. Let's do one of those Exxon Valdez type trusts. So how much we can be sued for per claim. Let's get a cap on it. Here's your worst side. Give us an infusion of cash and let us keep on doing what we do.
Right.
So the short of it is, if I go into a commodity fund or I go into an oil fund for my clients, I rely on the investment manager to tell me. I don't know anybody who owns BP at this point. Everyone has dropped that just because of there's too much uncertainty there. And you've heard me say on your show many a times, the reason the market's so volatile is there's so much uncertainty, and this just adds to it. I just wouldn't touch BP right now. That's me personally. It's not for any of the listeners. But at this point in time, I probably, unless I had some funny money, some money that I didn't care if I lost.
Right.
Yeah, take a shot. As my mother used to say, Columbus took a chance. If you don't mind losing it and it can go to zero, it could turn around and make a whole lot. I remember locally when Armstrong stock fell to near nothing, folks came in and bought a ton of Armstrong because they just believed, because they lived there all their life, Armstrong's not going anywhere. It'll be okay. Well, of course, there was that initial bump up, and if they were fortunate enough to sell and take all the rewards, they'd been fine. But those who thought it was going to go back up to $80, $90 a share,
right,
were very much surprised when they found out that they shut it down and went to zero, and they have a different type of stock now. So it's, if you're ready to, as my one friend says, if you have money that's poof and it's gone, and you have that kind of money and you want to take a shot, that might be one of those plays.
Right, and I suspect with BP the question will be, like you say, what is the total liability? I know that there's some talk that Congress wants to redo the caps and what they might have to pay. But unlike our taxes, which they can redo whenever they want, they may run into a problem because effectively changing somebody's liabilities after the fact may be what we call a bill of attainder, which is unconstitutional. So you can't retroactively fine somebody for conduct.
Yeah,
so,
and let's face it too. It's very politically expedient to be anti-BP right now. We saw what happened to that gentleman, a senator who apologized to BP in one hearing for how as he called it, the shakedown of the Obama administration to BP. They went after him like cockroaches on a piece of sugar.
Yeah.
It's land-based to him. So, the market in general, if you want to get to that, or you want to take a break.
I guess are we out of time, Shane? Shane's telling me we're out of time.
Hey, look for earnings next week.
All right, brother.
Thanks a lot, buddy. Thanks for having me.
All right, no, my pleasure. And if we want to get in touch with you, it's mirasfinancial.com. And what's the phone number?
mirasfinancialpartners.com, and it's 509-4521.
All right, you've been listening to Weekend Appointment with Carl Rominger and Mark Virginis. We will see you in the future.